Hello friends, welcome to Data Science Lovers. In our last video, we learned about full array. In this video, we will learn about random function, which is a part of random module. In this random module, we will cover different functions like random function, second is randint function, rand function, fourth is randn function, and uniform function, and our choice function. Let's start. What is this random module? The random module contains the functions which are used for generating the random numbers. Now, first of all, we will import the numpy library in this Jupyter notebook, and the syntax will be import numpy as np. Run this. The library has been successfully imported. From this numpy library, we will import the random module, and the syntax will be from numpy, our library name, import the module name which we want to import. We want to import random module. We will run this. The command has been successfully executed. Our numpy library and our random module has been imported in this Jupyter notebook. Let's first start with the random function. The random function returns the random float numbers between 0 and 1. Let's see how. First of all, we will use the random module, and from this random module we will use the random function like this. If I run this syntax, then it will create a random number between 0 and 1 in the float format. Suppose if I pass random dot random, if I pass any value here in this random function like 4, then it will give, or it will generate 4 random values all in float format between 0 and 1, and it will be in array format, and it is a 1D array. Similarly, if I want to create a 2D array with random numbers, then what can I do? I can write like this. I will pass the number of rows and number of columns for 2D array. 2 is my number of rows and 3 is number of columns. If I run this, then it will create a 2D array where there are 2 rows and 3 columns, and all the values in this 2D random array are float format between 0 and 1. Similarly, we can create a 3D array also, or you can say 3D random array. Our numpy library dot random, this is our random module, and in this module we will use random function. This is our random function, this one. Okay, here I will pass 3 values. First one for matrix like 2, then second one for rows, number of rows, and third one for number of columns. So I need 2 matrix. In each matrix there will be 3 row and 5 columns. If I run this, then it will create a 3D array all filled with random numbers, and all numbers are in float format between 0 and 1. There are 2 matrices. First one is this matrix, second one is this matrix, and in each matrix there are 3 rows. First one, first row, second row, third row, and first row, second row, third row, and 5 columns. And if you notice here, there are 3 square brackets in the starting here, and at the end also there are 3 square brackets, which indicates that it is a 3D array. So that's how we can create random arrays 1D, 2D or 3D using the random function. Next is randint function. The randint function generates random integer numbers between the given range. By default, the range here starts from 0, and if we use randint function, then the numbers generated can repeat. Let's see how it works. We will write our numpy library and then our random module. After random module, we will use rand int function. If I pass 2, 13, then it will generate a random integer number between the given range. The given range is 2, 13, means it will generate a random integer number between 2 and 13. Suppose I need 5 random numbers between 2 and 13. Then I will use randint function 2, 13, my range, and after this I will pass the number of elements that I need. Suppose I need 5 elements, and if I run this, then it will give us 5 random numbers between 2 and 13. If I run this again, then you can see the numbers are repeating, means 12 is present 2 times. Now suppose I pass only one value here in the randint function. Suppose I pass 4, then it will generate a random integer number between 0 and the end range is 4, means by default the range starts from 0 and it will end at the given number. So if I run this again, then it is giving now 3. So this is the second property of randint function, that is the range starts from 0. Next is rand function. The rand function returns the random float numbers between 0 and 1. It is, you can say, similar to this first one, the random function, but there is little difference. Let's see what is the difference. To use the rand function, we will first of all use numpy library, then random module, and then rand function. If I run this, then it is stated here that it will return a float number between 0 and 1. So it is returning a single float number. And if I use random.rand, if I pass any value or parameter here like 4, then it will return 4 random numbers between 0 and 1 in the form of 1D array. Similarly, we can create a 2D array of random numbers using rand function like this. I will pass here number of rows and number of columns. 2, 3 means I need 2 rows and 3 columns. If I run this, it will create a 2D array and all the values are in float format between 0 and 1, and there are 2 rows and 3 columns. Similarly, we can also create a 3D array using rand function, and this time I need 2 matrix, 3 rows and 5 columns. If I run this, then it will create a 3D array which is represented by these square brackets, 3 square brackets at the start and 3 square brackets at the end, and there are 2 matrices. In each matrix there are 3 rows and 5 columns. Now if you see here, this rand function and this random function. In random function, to give the dimension, we are using the tuple. Tuple means you can see there are round brackets around this dimension 2, 3. Also here there are round brackets, means double round brackets are here, but here in rand function there are only single round brackets like this. Means we can pass the number of rows and number of columns directly inside the rand function. So this is the little difference between rand and random function. Next is rand function. The rand function returns the random float numbers, positive and negative both, in the form of array. It is just similar to above this rand function. The difference is it can create the negative random numbers also. Let's see how. np.random. After this, we will use rand function like this. If I run this, then it is creating a float number, and this is a positive float number. If I run this again, then you can see this time it generated a negative float number. And if I pass any value here inside the rand function, like if I pass 4 here, then it will create 4 random numbers, positive and negative both, in the form of 1D array. Similarly, we can create a 2D array rand n. Here I will pass the number of rows and number of columns, and if I pass here 3 comma 5, I need 3 rows and 5 columns, and our values can be positive as well as negative in this array. So it is creating a 2D array with 3 rows and 5 columns. All values are in float format. We can also create a 3D array np.random.rand and number of matrix 4. If I pass number of rows 2 and number of column 3. If I run this, it will create a 3D array. In this array we have 4 matrix, 2 rows and 3 columns in each matrix. And you can notice here that the values are in float format, and we have positive as well as negative values in our array. So this is the use of rand n function in the random module. Next we have is uniform function. The uniform function returns the random float numbers between the given range of values. Here the random numbers cannot repeat, and by default the range starts from 0, and if nothing is passed in the function, then it will return a float number between 0 and 1. Let's see how it works. np.randommodule.uniform function. Okay, if I pass here 2 comma 5, I am giving a range from 2 to 5. If I run this, then it will create a random number between 2 and 5, and it is in float format. Suppose I need 17 random numbers between 2 and 5. Then I will pass 17 as my third value here. If I run this, then it will return 17 random numbers in float format between the given range, which is 2 to 5. And you can see it is in the form of 1D array. Now if I pass only one value here, np.random and uniform function, inside this function if I pass only 5, only single value, then it will return a random float number between 0 to 5, because by default here the range starts from 0. And the one thing you have to notice that 5 is not included here. If I run this again, then it is generating a float random number 1.2. If I run this again, then it will create a again random number between 0 to 5. Suppose if I pass nothing inside this uniform function like this, I am not passing any value here, then it will return a float number between 0 and 1. Okay, so this is the uniform function. Next, move to the choice function. About choice function, the choice function returns random integer numbers from the given sequence. Here we are talking about sequence. In our last functions we were talking about the range, so we will see the difference here. And the second point is the range starts from 0 by default. If only one element is passed, then it will return a random number between 0 and that element. And the last point is by default replace equal to true, which means the numbers can repeat. We will see all 4 points one by one. Now if I use random module and the choice function, inside the choice function we have to pass any sequence here. Suppose I pass any sequence, random sequence. Here I am passing random values like this. So suppose this is my random sequence here. If I run this, then it will return any random number from this sequence, and I will copy this syntax. If I paste, and suppose I need 2 random numbers from this sequence, then I will pass this size as 2 here, and run this, then it will return two random numbers from the given sequence, and it will be in the form of 1D array. I can use 5 also here, then it will return 5 random numbers from the given sequence. If we talk about our second point, which is the range starts from 0 by default. What is mean? np.random module with choice function. If I pass here like 13 and 123, what the syntax will do? This syntax will create 123 random numbers between 0 and between 13. Means 0 to 13 it will create 123 random numbers, and the numbers you can see can repeat. Okay, because all values have to be integer here, so there is a repetition. Next, if I pass only one element in the choice function, np dot random dot choice, if I pass only one value like 12, then it will give me, or it will return a random integer value between 0 and that element. Element is 12, means it will return a random integer value between 0 and 12. Next point is by default replace equal to true, which means that the numbers generated can repeat itself. I will copy this syntax and put out random dot choice, and we have a sequence here, and if I pass any size here, size is our parameter equal to 5. If I run this, then it will give 5 random numbers from this sequence, and the numbers can repeat. You can see 33 is present 2 times. By default, it means replace equal to true. Replace is a parameter here. If I pass replace equal to false, then there will be no repetition in the generated numbers. If, if I run this syntax, every time there will be no repetition because the parameter replace is passed as false. Now suppose if I pass size as, you can say, 20 here, but our sequence is containing how much elements? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Our sequence is containing 9 elements, but we are asking for 20 elements from this sequence, and we are also asking that there should be no repetition. If I run this, then it will show an error because we are asking for the elements greater than the size of this sequence. If I pass true here, then means we are asking that there may be repetition from our sequence. If I run this, then it will create 1D array of 20 size from our given sequence. So this is the difference by passing replace equal to true and by passing replace equal to false here. So this is our random module from numpy library. It may be confusing for you if you're starting from 0, but you have to note down these points which I have mentioned here for you, then it will be more clear to understand. So that's all friends for this video.